Λοιπόν, τα τελευταία αρχικά κάνω βίντεο και συνέχεια μέσα το λέτσο γιατί είναι έτσι το μαλλί μου. Τέλος πάντων, δεν μας νοιάζει αυτό. Λοιπόν, για εσάς που είδατε το story που ανέβασα χτες το βράδυ, 3 η ώρα, ήρθε η ώρα να σας κάνω explain για το τι συνέβη. So, it's storytime time. Storytime. Λοιπόν, χτες το βράδυ κάθομαι στο κρεβάτι μου και αράζω. Εγώ, επειδή σαν μουλάρα χτες γύρισα από τη σχολή και κοιμήθηκα, ξύπνησα 11 η ώρα το βράδυ. Πολύ normal αυτό. Που σημαίνει ότι μετά δεν μπορούσα να ξανακοιμηθώ. Γιατί είχα ήδη κοιμηθεί 5 ώρες. Άρα λοιπόν, άραζα εγώ στο κρεβάτι μου το βράδυ, καθόμουν να σκρόλαρα στο TikTok. Άμα δείτε το screen time μου, κυριολεκτικά μέσα σε μια εβδομάδα έχω 40 ώρες στο TikTok. Anyways, λοιπόν, σε μια φάση όπως κάθομαι, έρχεται ο μπαμπάς μου μέσα στο δωμάτιο. Είναι αυτό το κλασικό που σε πιάνει το κατούριμα το βράδυ, σηκώνεσαι να κατουρίσεις. Ναι. Ήρθε ο μπαμπάς μου λοιπόν στο δωμάτιο να δει αν είμαστε καλά. Με βλέπει, μου λέει τράβα κοιμήσου. Του λέω ναι, θα κοιμηθώ. Τέλος πάντων αυτό. Μετά από 10 λεπτά λοιπόν, αφού έφυγε ο μπαμπάς μου από το δωμάτιο, ακούω ένα Σαβίνα. Τύπου όχι φωναχτό, γιατί ήταν και βράδυ, δεν άκουσα Σαβίνα. Άκουσα Σαβίνα. Και εγώ νόμιζα ότι κάτι ήθελε. Αλλά επειδή ήταν βράδυ και δεν ήθελα να ξυπνήσω τους άλλους στο σπίτι, δεν γύρισα να πω έλα. Απλά δεν μίλησα. Να βάλω λίγο έτσι τρομακτική μουσική. Θέλω λίγο να πέσει λίγο το κλίμα. Και τέλος πάντων, επειδή περίμενα και δεν τον ξανά άκουσα να με φωνάζει, τον λυπήθηκα γιατί μπορεί κάτι όντως να ήθελε και λέω μαλάκα εντάξει, θα πάω να δω. Και τέλος πάντων, σηκώνομαι από το κρεβάτι να πάω να δω, πηγαίνω στο δωμάτιο των γονιών μου και βλέπω ότι ο μπρο κοιμάται. Κανονικότατα όμως. Τύπου δεν γύρισε καν να με κοιτάξει να μου πει εντάξει, δεν θέλω κάτι τώρα. Τύπου κοιμόταν, ροχάλιζε. Και λέω μαλάκα. What the fuck just happened? Και εγώ, I played it off. Και πήγα τουαλέτα, δηλαδή όπως ήμουν στο δωμάτιο των γονιών μου, μέσα μου σκέφτομαι, Σαβίνα, ό,τι και να ήταν, κάνω ότι κατουριέσαι και πας τουαλέτα. Πάω λοιπόν στη τουαλέτα, αρχίζω να σκέφτομαι τι συνέβη. Λοιπόν, αρχικά είδα τα μηνύματά σας, τα είδα όλα τα μηνύματα που μου στείλατε, ότι είναι mimic. Ναι, εγώ επειδή ξέρω τι είναι αυτό και δεν είμαι τόσο clueless from life, γι' αυτό το έκανα play off. Γιατί άμα τους δώσεις σημασία μπορεί τα πράγματα να μην πάνε όσο καλά θέλεις. Και επειδή εγώ λέω μαλάκα Σαβίνα, όχι, δεν θα παίξουμε, we're not playing that game, we're going to toilet. Πάω εγώ λοιπόν on toilet και λέω μαλάκα, τι στον μπούτσο έγινε. Άρχιζα να σκέφτομαι ότι πολύ πιθανό ο άνθρωπος να το είπε στον ύπνο του. Ναι, αλλά ταυτόχρονα πριν 10 λεπτά ήταν ξύπνιος. Πόσο γρήγορα τον πήρε ο ύπνος για να πει το όνομά μου. Ναι, το είπε στον ύπνο του. Ή μπορεί εγώ να ακούω πράγματα, πολύ πιθανό. Είμαι delusional, ναι, είμαι delusional. Οπότε αυτό συνέβη και μετά απλά πήγα στο κρεβάτι μου τρέχοντας. Είναι αυτό το κλασικό που κλείνεις τα φώτα και απλά τρέχεις στο δωμάτιό σου. Και το ανέβασα story. Ναι. So basically, άμα ήταν αυτό που λέτε εσείς ότι ήταν, που δεν μπορώ να πω δυνατά γιατί είμαι σπίτι μου αυτή τη στιγμή και δεν θα ήθελα να... Είμαι λίγο delusional και κοιτάω πίσω μου αυτή τη στιγμή γιατί I'm kinda fucking scared. Άμα είναι όντως αυτό, I'm fucked. Και επίσης, disclaimer, οι παλιοί μπορεί να θυμούνται ή μπορεί να μην θυμάστε καν, δεν πειράζει, θα το ξαναπώ. Είχα πει κάποτε μια τρομακτική ιστορία. Όταν είχαμε φρέσκο μετακομίσει στο καινούριο σπίτι, γιατί συνήθως όλες οι μαλακίες γινόντουσαν στο παλιό μου σπίτι. Στο καινούριο σπίτι δεν είχαν γίνει πολλά πράγματα. Βασικά παίζει να έχουν γίνει μετρημένα 2 πράγματα με αυτό που έγινε χτες. Αυτό που είχε συμβεί λοιπόν είναι ότι μία μέρα καθόμουν πάλι στο κρεβάτι και άραζα και άκουσα την πόρτα του δωματίου να χτυπάει. Και ήταν τύπου 1,5 ώρα το βράδυ, 2 η ώρα, κάτι τέτοιο. Και εγώ casual, επειδή δεν ήταν πάρα πολύ αργά, υπέθεσα ότι κάποιος ξύπνησε, ότι κάποιος κάτι ήθελε από μένα. Και απλά κυριολεκτικά σηκώθηκα από το κρεβάτι μου και άνοιξα την πόρτα να δω ποιος είναι. Και δεν ήταν κανείς. So basically it's the second time that fucking happens. Ναι. Οπότε κάτι πάει πάρα πολύ λάθος. Και τώρα που λέμε για μαλακίες που μου έχουν συμβεί στο καινούριο σπίτι, θυμήθηκα κι άλλη μία μαλακία που μου είχε συμβεί, αλλά δεν την πήρα ποτέ σοβαρά, οπότε δεν την ανέφερα ποτέ. Και θα δείτε και στο βίντεο ότι δεν την πήρα ποτέ σοβαρά, αλλά και πάλι είναι περίεργο. Οπότε wait.
Μπρα. Κλείστο ρε. Oh, shit. Άνοιξε. Oh, well. Κυριολεκτικά μόλις ξύπνησα το είδα να αναβοσβήνει. Και δεν αναβόσβηνε απλά. Τύπου ήταν σαν σήματα μος, μπρο. Δεν ξέρω. I don't know. Λογικά κάποιο παιδάκι στο υπόγειο που έχουν απαγάγει προσπαθεί να μου δώσει σήματα για σως. Αλλά τώρα δουλεύει κανονικά, αλλά δεν το πείραξα καν. Επίσης, guys, mind me, αλλά το κομπιούτερ για το... Πού είναι καν το κομπιούτερ για τα λεντάκια? What the fuck? Περίμενε. Είναι εδώ. Οπότε, I didn't fucking do it.
Η ανάλυση είναι αλκατέλ, αλλά κυριολεκτικά ο λόγος που δεν το ανέφερα ποτέ και δεν έδειξα ποτέ αυτό το βίντεο είναι επειδή κυριολεκτικά κανείς δεν θα πιστέψει ότι δεν το έκανα εγώ με το τηλεχειριστήριο. Τύπου κανείς δεν θα το πιστέψει. Nobody. Γιατί κυριολεκτικά είπα κλείσε και έκλεισε και είπα άνοιξε και άνοιξε. Και όλοι θα λένε μαλάκα κυριολεκτικά είσαι τρολάρει ο γείτονάς σου ή το κάνεις εσύ. Οπότε και εγώ νόμιζα ότι σε μια φάση απλά με τρόλαρε ο γείτονας. Αλλά κυριολεκτικά είχα βγει και κοίταγα και μου κάπως ποιος το κάνει καν.
Okay, I got a lot of requests for another creepy story time, so this will be creepy story time part 2. So this story is going to take place about 6 months to a year after the original story I told, and a lot had happened during that span of time. So I had graduated high school, and my boyfriend and I had moved to a different city, like 200 to 300 miles away. And we were still coming back like every other weekend to visit, but we weren't living in that town anymore. So my mom and her boyfriend had officially moved in together, and she had 2 vehicles, and one of them she decided to sell to him so he'd have transportation. And she only drove her car, he only drove his, you know, that they separated them that way. But they were both still in the same driveway. So one of the times we came to visit, my mom was telling me that she was having a lot of bad luck. And it wasn't just like one thing, it was like a lot of things at once. And I guess that she was driving to work one day and she noticed there was like a weird rattling noise that she couldn't explain. And it had never happened before, but she kept hearing it. And I guess the rattling was bad enough to like make the car kind of shake. So this really freaked her out, and she was really afraid of, you know, having car issues and like the car breaking down or something, or even worse, getting into a car wreck. With the luck she was having, she was just anticipating something. So she ended up getting her car, putting it in an auto body shop, and I guess when they were checking out the car to see what was causing the rattling, what they found was a bundle of hair wrapped around bone attached to the bottom of her car. Now, if you're not aware of what that means, basically it's witchcraft being used against the person whose hair that it is. And it turns out the hair was my mother's, but the strange thing is her hair hadn't been that length or that color in probably about 10 years. So somebody somehow got a hold of my mom's hair from 10 years previously and tried to use it against her with witchcraft. So that solved the car issue. Her boyfriend at the time, he knew a medicine woman or a medicine man, and they were able to dispose of the hair and the bone and everything properly so that it wouldn't come back and, you know, keep raising havoc on her. But things didn't get 100% better right away. And the weird thing is, she was telling me that during this whole time she was having a lot of bad luck, she was also having a lot of nightmares. And that was pretty unusual because she wasn't really someone that had had nightmares previously. But what really creeped me out was that she said that it was always the same man in her nightmares. And she described him as having a smile that was too big. She said that it went from ear to ear. And for some reason that just really creeped me the fuck out. And the weird thing about that is that another friend of mine that I had in that same town, I had seen and spoke to after this had happened. And he was telling me that he was having nightmares. And before I even asked, I kind of already had a weird feeling about it. but he started describing the man in his nightmares because he vividly remembered that he had a smile that went ear from ear, and it was too big. And that still gives me the creeps to this day.
I have called the non-emergency police more times than I can count, and it's always something scary, but I've gaslit myself into thinking that I'm being dramatic. So here's the story about how I called the non-emergency police, but should have called 911. It was the scariest night of my life. Back in high school, I was terrified of staying home alone because every single time I did, I would hear noises. My parents always told me that it was just, the house settling and making creaks because it's an old house. My parents had gone out of the country, so I had my best friend come stay with me because, like I said, I was terrified of being home alone. And the way that my house is structured, my childhood home, the basement has a door, and then it has like these steps that go up, and then there's the back door, but you have to go up deck stairs in order to get to them, and then there's a front door. 3 doors, okay? So me and my best friend, we leave. We're gonna go get dinner somewhere, okay? And I am so paranoid. Like I said, I checked every single door to make sure it was locked. I went in the basement, made sure it was locked, came upstairs, looked at the back door, saw it was locked, went to the front door, locked it, left out the garage, closed the garage. We got back and we were just giggling, laughing, and so it took us a while to notice, but when we got inside from my garage door, you can see my back door, and the back door was cracked open, but it took us a second to realize. What made me realize is I got into the kitchen and I felt like a cold breeze. It was winter, that's important, and there was snow on the inside of the kitchen. Once I noticed the snow, I looked up and the back door was creaked open and there was snow coming in from the back door off of the deck. We had a dog who knew how to open doors, so I was like gaslighting myself. Like I must have left him outside and he got in, and I just was so confused because I remember the dog being in the house and then all the doors being locked. My dog is known for loving snow, so it wasn't uncommon that he was outside in the backyard like all day. Like he was obsessed. So my friend was like, no, like you probably just left him out. And he got back in. He knows how to open doors. He would have let himself back in if he was too cold or something. But we were unsuccessful in yet again gaslighting ourselves. So we went upstairs and we were laying in my bed and we were just laughing. I remember we were laughing so hard, and then we heard a giant bang. Like something had either crashed to the floor or somebody slammed a door. I remember we stopped laughing so quick. Deer in the headlights. My dog starts barking. I can't explain to you the feeling in my gut when I realized, like, oh my God, there's somebody in the fucking house. So maybe this was a stupid decision, but my first thought was
Can we show them the older homestead?
Yeah, let's go. As you know.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Was that you?
Yeah, that's on either side.
They went to both.
Yeah.
Let's read some more scary stories that were sent to us. 6 years ago, my family and I moved to South Africa. We moved into my mom's friend's house. It was a small house, and it was also very old. One night, we went to bed just like any other night. I slept next to my mom and my twin brother because the house was very small, and I have 6 siblings, and there were only 2 rooms. So you could imagine we were pretty cramped in there. Anyway, I was laying in bed with my mom and my twin brother one night, and in the middle of the night, I woke up because I had a nightmare. I looked in the corner of my room and I saw myself standing. I wasn't creeped out, I was just confused. It looked exactly like me, but she was creepy. She was looking in my eyes, smiling, and tilting her head in a weird, creepy way. I didn't get too scared very easily when I was younger, so I went back to bed thinking I wouldn't see it again. But then I woke up again and I saw that it's gotten even closer. I closed my eyes praying it would go away. But I opened my eyes and saw myself again, smiling and tilting my head. And I thought to myself, how is this even possible if I'm in bed? I went back to bed and woke up and saw it again. This time I was so sick of seeing it because I started actually getting scared. So I stood up really fast and ran towards it, and then it just disappeared. When it disappeared, I heard the cupboard next to the bed shake. I quickly jumped into my bed and hid under the covers, and I fell back asleep. I was so scared the next morning. A few years later, me and my siblings were talking about the house, and I told them about my experience, and I thought I was the only one experiencing all of this paranormal stuff. only to find out all of them were experiencing it too, but they didn't want to speak about it because they were all so scared. My older brother and my oldest sister were telling me how they were in the garage one time and they heard stuff moving, but they were the only ones in there. My oldest sister also said she felt like someone was watching her in that house. And one time, I went to the kitchen to make my twin brother's cereal, and while I was pouring the cereal into a bowl, I heard a little girl talk in my ear. I got so scared and ran to my room, but my brother begged me to go back. So I went back, and then she spoke into my ear again, and I ran right back to my room. My mom later invited some nuns to the house, and they told her that there was an evil presence there. I'm so glad we finally moved out. South Africa, y'all. There's something evil over there. This next story happened in Minnesota. This happened about 5 years ago, so I was around 10 at the time. I was living at my great uncle's house with my mom, brother, and dad. We lived right next door to my grandma and grandpa's house, so we would frequently go over there. One night, I was home alone as my family was over at my grandparents' house having a bonfire. I fell asleep, but soon after woke up, looked over, and saw my brother standing in my room. He was standing in front of the window looking outside. My window faced the driveway of our house, and I couldn't see anything that he could be looking at. I got annoyed with him and called out to him to ask him what he was doing, but got no response. I got out of bed and walked over to him to confront him. Once I got right behind him, I went to reach out and grab his shoulder, but my hand went right through him. All I felt was cold air, and then he faded until I was standing there alone. I jumped when I heard a four-wheeler take off. I looked out my window and saw someone exiting the driveway on a four-wheeler.
Okay, you guys want to hear a scary story? Okay, so the first house that I ever bought, I got it under foreclosure for $40,000. So, that's dirt cheap. It was a cute brick ranch that really just needed a lot of cosmetic stuff done to it. So my husband, who was still my fiance at the time, lived with me. He did a lot of work to it so that we could flip it and make a profit. I also want to tell you, the whole time we lived here, my husband refused to acknowledge or admit that there was this very dark, horrible energy radiating from that house. Like, it was just undeniable. He would only admit to it later after we moved out, because he said that he did not want to make things worse for me or give me any worse anxiety. But I still hold resentment to him to this day because he tried to gaslight me into thinking it was all in my head when he knew it wasn't. So most of this dark energy came from the basement and the kitchen, and a little bit into the living room. And whenever like a lot of spooky shit was going on, like, it would go back towards the bedrooms too. Here was the first thing that happened to me that I just thought was odd. I was trying to sleep in my bedroom. My husband was working night shift. We didn't have kids at this point, but I could not sleep. I could not get comfortable. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go on the couch and try and see if I'll fall asleep out there. We had just got a puppy. This is said puppy now, but she was in the living room with me. And all of a sudden, this is so random, a freaking potato rolls from the kitchen into the living room where we were. So my dog gets up to go check it out. And all of a sudden, I hear her yelp. It sounded like a freaking scream. And then it was like something grabbed her and shoved her as hard as they could across the wood floor. She skid all the way across the floor. And she was shaking. She was terrified. That was just the first incident. Then one day, actually, this is after we had gotten married and I was pregnant with my first child. My friend who lived in California was in town visiting, so she was spending the night. And we were sitting in my bedroom, and all of a sudden, she just looks me dead in my face, and she's like, Dana, what is that smell? And she's like, and this...
You mentioned dolls a few times, so I thought I'd share this one. The disappearance of the Dutch doll. Long before the new housing estate, Finnegan was home to a small girls' charity school just beside the church. And hanging above its entrance was something no one ever forgot. A wooden figure, about 3 feet tall, dressed in blue, clutching a painted scroll that read, Read ye the scriptures.
Oh, read ye.
She was simply known as the Dutch doll of Finnegan. No one knew who made her, but everyone feared her, and still does. At night, the girls of the school whispered that they heard footsteps on the floorboards, soft but steady, pacing the corridor outside their dormitory. Sometimes the door handle would rattle or the lights would flicker. Someone would gasp, "She's coming." The school matron used to threaten pupils. "Mind your behaviour, or you spend a night with a doll." One girl laughed at the warning. The next morning she was found hiding under her bed, pale as milk, muttering, "She moved. I saw her eyes move." When the school finally closed in 1961, the doll was taken to St Mary's Church for safekeeping. The vicar placed her near the vestry. Soon after, people began to talk again. The cleaner found the scroll across the aisle. A faint tapping was heard late at night, and someone swore her head had turned slightly between Sunday services. But then one day, she was gone. The cupboard was splintered open. All that remained were 2 small wooden feet, sawn clean off. The police called it theft. The villagers called it revenge. Now the old school is gone, replaced by the modern primary down the road, bright, warm, and full of laughter. But when autumn nights draw in, the older pupils tell the new ones the story. They say the doll still walks through Finnegan, dragging her broken legs behind her, searching for her missing feet. Sometimes she's seen near the churchyard. Sometimes she peers through the windows of the new classrooms. And if you ever find a faint trail of blue paint on the playground, whatever you do, don't follow it.
В школе в 6 классе ко мне подсадили новенького мальчугана. Под конец учебного года мы с ним были не разлей вода, но после выпускного жизнь развела наши дороги по другим городам. Тогда мы еще были беззаботными детьми, и мне даже в голову не приходило, почему папа моего друга в столь молодые годы, весь седой. Я лишь вскользь знала, что работает он в медицине, особого внимания этому факту не уделяла. Лишь через годы, встретив своего школьного друга на вечере встречи выпускников, которого у нас не было 7 долгих лет, мы разговорились, и я узнала жуткую историю. Оказывается, папа Дениса был патологоанатомом при судебной экспертизе. По-моему, так это называется. В общем, он выяснял причины смерти своих пациентов. Денис помнит лишь один факт из детства, когда папа вечером ушел на срочный вызов обычным папой, а вернулся папой с белой головой. Когда мой мальчик спрашивал отца про седые волосы, папа говорил, что так надо, что люди могут иногда постареть из-за тяжелой работы. Мальчик заметил, что отец стал молчаливый, мрачный. Мать старалась всегда при нем разговаривать тихо и спокойно. Только лишь став взрослым и пережив с матерью инсульт отца, мать рассказала, что случилось той ночью, когда посидели его волосы. Его срочно вызвали на работу. Соседи забеспокоились фактом, что у молодой девушки нет ни слуху, ни духу уже неделю. После ссоры с мужем, который с чемоданом ушел и не вернулся. В квартире тишина. Взломали дверь и обнаружили ее тело. Предстояло выяснять, что явилось причиной ухода из жизни. В общем-то, отец Дэна приступил к своим непосредственным обязанностям. Он вскрыл тело, начал делать свою работу. Как сначала изо рта пострадавшей вырвался сдавленный булькающий стон, а потом она открыла глаза и схватила отца Дениса за руку. От неожиданности и нереальности происходящего мужчина просто потерял сознание. Как выяснилось позже, из-за сильнейшего стресса девушка впала в летаргический сон. У нее не было ни пульса, ни сердцебиения, кожа была бледной. В общем, все признаки ухода из жизни налицо. В попыхах медики зафиксировали этот факт и отдали тело на экспертизу. Отец Дениса со всеми принятыми заключениями начал свою работу. Девушка очнулась при вскрытии. К счастью, ее спасли. Зато отец Дениса вместе с сединой приобрел больное сердце в свои 34 и много ходил по всевозможным психологам и психотерапевтам. И больше никогда не занимался судебной экспертизой. Перевелся в обычную поликлинику обычным терапевтом. Возможно, слушателям после многочисленных силуэтов и монстров эта история покажется ерундой. Вы только представьте весь кошмар происходящего. Мне, допустим, действительно становится жутко.
I lost my baby in Mexico. I really did, you guys. When my daughter was about 4 to 5, I lost her almost in Mexico. Let me tell you guys a story time. So my husband has a lot of family in TJ, so Tijuana, Mexico, right? And my father-in-law goes there all the time. He asked us so many times to take the kids. I would never let them go because I am so terrified of them being kidnapped, okay? Terrified. Never let them go at all. So when they were like, my daughter was she was 4 or 5 and my son was 3 or 4. So we agreed that we would go because one of the family members was having a king size. So we go, and the first couple of days I'm just like a nervous wreck because they lived on top of like literally like a cliff almost. It's on a big old hill, like a mountain. So I was just terrified the whole time. I was watching them like like a hawk. Like, I didn't even enjoy my time because I was watching them so much. So we decided we were gonna go with all of his family to Papa's and Beer, right, in Ensenada. So we go. It's probably like 15 of us, all of us together. So we get there, and again, like, I'm just a nervous wreck, always watching my kids. So we get there, we get to the beach. We're like by the actual beach. We set up, we get like fruit, we're just hanging out like really by the water for a little bit. Then we decide after like maybe 30 minutes we're gonna go back to Papa's and Beer, which is like the water's here, and then back, you know, away is Papa's and Beer. So we're over there, we get tables, we're like still on the beach, but it's like in the Papa's and Beer where they'll like serve you and stuff. So we're over there, and I like don't even really enjoy myself because I'm just watching them so much, and everybody's like, they're fine, you need to relax, like all of us are here, they're fine, like you don't have to be so like, they're fine, okay? So I tell my daughter, I was like, hey baby, go get the sunscreen, which our bag with all of our stuff was like a foot or two away from me. So I told her, grab the sunscreen so I could reapply your sunscreen. And I was a freak about their sunscreen too. So as she was doing that, I start talking to one of his family members. Like, I let down me watching her like a hawk for probably 50 seconds. Like, it was very, very short, because I immediately realized, where's my daughter? She didn't bring me the sunscreen. So I look to see like where's she at, and I don't see her. So I'm like looking around the table, and I'm like, where's Adriana? I tell my husband, I'm like, where's Adriana? And he's like, well, I don't know. And I'm looking at everybody, I'm like, where's Adriana? I'm realizing like super fast that I don't see her. I stand up and I immediately start, I'm like, where's Adriana? Like, screaming. And everybody's like, I don't know. I'm like, she was just right here. Like, where's she at? And I was fucking screaming, you guys. Like, everybody's like, I don't know. Like, nobody like realized what was going on, what happened. I was like, she was just right here. I told her to get the sunscreen. And like, oh, you guys, it still like gives me shivers. So I'm screaming, running around this place. Everybody's looking. We cannot find her. So at least 4 minutes passed at this time, and it felt like a fucking lifetime. We didn't see her. And then my husband like is looking down by the beach, and he sees her little head like bopping as she's walking. He's like, she's right there. And we run up to, I literally run, and
What the fuck was that? Bro!
What's going on around you?
I don't know. I'm frozen. I am frozen.
Did the window
Sean.
break?
I'm back with another creepy experience to share with you. If you haven't checked out my previous posts, then maybe you should do that so you have an idea about how this has escalated as I share many experiences with my life with the paranormal throughout the years, and some of those experiences now including my family. Because of this, I started investigating the paranormal 5 years ago. When I finally built up the courage to do so, I got a camera, some equipment that I seen other paranormal investigators using, and I thought, yeah, why not? Do you mean I'll even test myself? And rather than investigating my house my many of houses that I knew were haunted, I jumped in the deep end and investigated haunted locations. So here we are again when I'm sharing another experience. So if you haven't checked out the previous post, maybe you should, because that will make more sense in this one. So as usual, along with the storyline of how I came about to take these photographs and or videos, I will be sharing them on here. So I have to give like a minor trigger warning for anyone on here that doesn't like anything that's paranormal or scary, and definitely real life, then now's your time to swipe or move on, because it gets creepy quick. So the backstory of this one actually continues from the one that I shared previously, and that is with the spirit of the little girl that was said to be roaming my home. Now, this house I lived in 3 years ago, and just a disclaimer, I do not currently live in the same house. This is another house. I move around a lot, and yes, I've been told I may as well get a caravan at this point, which is funny because I honestly think that would be haunted as well, I'm not gonna lie. So due to like experiences and incidents happening in the home surrounding the spirit of the little girl, she wanted to make herself known in a very, very big way, as you would have seen, and she wanted to communicate and make herself known to my daughter, who was 3 at the time. Now, these images that you were about to see were taken in that house. So not only did we have the creepy pink handprints, but now a couple of months later we decided to turn our attention towards the house and use and put the paranormal equipment to good use in that house. So yeah, we get started. And this really freaks me out to share, and I get nervous every time, and you may pick up on my anxiety because it definitely does trigger it, even talking about it, let alone looking at these photos again. But I gotta document it, I've just got to. So we used to conduct a lot of live investigations off of a different social media, and we would have loads of people just watching. Sometimes we would just do like laser grid watches. Now, for those of you that may not be aware of what a laser grid is, it's a form of equipment paranormal investigators use. And I just thought, do you know what, when I first seen it in action and somebody did pick up a shadow figure on there, I was like, I gotta get me one. I don't